Hello, Earth Nation. Welcome to my summit on the what, how, when of the quantum and how we get to create with ease and grace and more quickly than you might think. And sometimes it's not how fast it goes, but what a huge leap it is when it does happen. Something unbelievable can happen. And I am Amanda with the Activated Earth, and I am here with Rebecca Smith-McGovern of Awakening Seraphina. And today we get to focus on your quantum health timeline. And Rebecca has an amazing story, and my eyes have not made the quantum leap that I would like. So I'm going to take off my glasses and read her bio. I'm going to read Rebecca's bio. So Rebecca has been in transformational work for nearly 30 years, beginning with a vision of the true world as a child to allowing and choosing to heal from life-threatening illness in her late 20s and early 30s. Rebecca has pursued the deeper mission of humanity to connect and ascend beyond the matrix, if you will. Rebecca knows that with each person who chooses their own truth, the path of humanity is shifted further into light, joy, and peace on earth. Reading the map to truth is Rebecca's gift, able to see the picture of life fully connected to earth and God source. Rebecca is able to act as a guide for those seeking clarity, fulfillment, direction, and joy in life. And that is so true of everything that you do. And Rebecca is actually my sister, so I've been able to watch her on this journey, and I can assure you that it is amazing. So, and I get to be the blessed one who has a sister who's been here all this time, right? If you hadn't done what you did, I would be here by myself. We're all blessed.
Yes.
So I would love it if you would share your story of how you got to this point on your timeline. You know, what was this amazing health shift that you're talking about in your bio?
Okay. That's a lot and not a lot.
Yeah.
So really what happened was I came into this world, you know, we're all created. We actually, each person is created in perfect health and harmony with all that they need to live a healthy, healed life in you know what we would term not perfection, but but in the healed state. And this is why I say that the healed state already exists within, you know, each person. My own journey came into fruition really because I had the experience of severe debilitating illness that really started when I was in high school. Just the fringe aspects of it, some of the discomforts, some of the you know, the minor things, you know, like cold hands and feet, and numbness, and you know those types of annoyances. But by the time that I was 19, I was already full blown into debilitating illness, periodic debilitating illness that was diagnosed as autoimmune liver disease before I was the age of 21. And the doctor at that point in my life, you know, he said, "Oh, well, you have 5 years. You basically have a 5-year lifespan. And if you do make it, you know, for 5 years, you're going to need a liver transplant." And in retrospect, what I recognize is that the action that I took in that moment was extraordinarily decisive in the path that I ultimately experienced, because I was angry. I was scared but I was also really angry. And I just, in my head, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I didn't say those words to him, but in my head, it was like, no. And you know me, I love that you brought up, hey, we're sisters. You've had the experience of seeing me all of these years. And that's exactly what I was feeling when I hopped on this call, is that you have had the experience of seeing me all these years, and we have a shared experience. So you've actually seen all that has gone on.
Yeah.
And so you know how I am an impatient sort. This is one of my aspects, the impatience and the absolute, if that doesn't line up, it's like, no, I'm not doing that. And yet that simple action in and of itself is really defining and very decisive. So when people encounter these things in their world where someone comes at them with this is what's going to happen, when we hear what someone else says about us and we buy that story and we buy that, there's a huge amount of energy. I've been talking a lot about frequency. You're talking about quantum. You're talking about what you're talking about is frequency, and thought and words and all of that stuff carries this energy, and it carries a level of energy. It's a language. So when we accept something that someone else gives us, we've accepted that energy. We're accepting that energy. And so I think that in itself was a very deciding factor in how my path went. Now, moving forward from that before age 21, diagnosis, life and death, was it easy? No, it wasn't easy. As a matter of fact, I was diagnosed with, I went on to develop further problems with my muscles. I had all sorts of skin rashes and breakouts, debilitating migraines. They thought fibromyalgia, they thought Crohn's, they thought, went on to develop, they gave me a lupus diagnosis based on a few, random tests that I had that were positive. My thyroid went out. I developed inflammation of my heart. I had lung involvement, pleurisy of the lungs, vasculitis. So all of my blood vessels were inflamed. It was a full on, my entire body was unhappy. All of it was unhappy, and every single thing was life-threatening. You could die from this. You could die from this. What I recognized was that I was looking outside of myself for the answers. I wasn't willing to accept the answers I was being given, but I still kept looking outside of myself for the answers. Right. I was looking for someone else to have it, a book, a doctor, some alternative, medicine. I was looking for all of those answers outside of myself. But ultimately what happened was an experience that caused me to realize that every answer I needed was inside of myself.
Yeah. And I just want to point out that what you're describing, I want to point this out for people who are watching and listening, is that story is part of the matrix, right? So story, whatever story you are in, it's part of the matrix. It can be positive, negative, whatever it is. But the biggest deal about the matrix that we are in, of which the quantum is a part of it, right? Whatever story we are in, it's usually something that we think is supposed to be true. So right. Really what you did, and I want to point this out for people so they really feel that what you did was you did not accept the story the matrix story, the illusion, the lie that we can't heal. And you did this without really knowing what you were doing at the time.
Correct.
So I just wanted everybody to understand that was a quantum leap in and of itself, to choose a different story, to choose a different reality. And, you know, this is the amazing part of you being here, right now, and surviving all of those things, is always, no matter what you were being fed, even by your own body, you chose a different story.
Yeah. And what I like is that word right there, choose, choice. Choice. And, you know, what we're being fed by our body. So this is where everything that the body does is it's telling us something. So we got this idea, right, that if I've got a hangnail, that, oh my gosh, I got a hangnail, dang, this is wrong. I should not be getting a hangnail. I got to cut that off, and then you get another one, and then, oh, I got more hangnails. Why do I have so many hangnails? Well, we're not looking at, oh, what is it about the hangnail? What is that telling me? I mean, what is it telling me? With our physical body, we're so focused on it being a problem that we're not looking at what it's telling us. And in my own case, and you know, this is one thought that I've had, really, it was really guiding and bringing me forth into the work that I'm doing now, because ultimately, by going inside of myself and paying attention and listening to what my body was saying, it completely shifted. And one of the most defining experiences was that healing experience. And I've told this story before. However, the aspect of being in that experience has proven to be the guiding factor in my ability to shift my experiences moving forward. So it wasn't so much the information that I received or even the healing that I received. It was the experience of itself and recognizing what it meant and the message, which was, each of us is chosen. That is what I heard. I heard that voice tell me, you will be healed over 3 days. At the end of, you know, this gradual reduction in pain over 3 days. On the 3rd day, this will be gone. And my asking, is there anything that I need to do? No. Is there anything that I can do? Share the word, which I did not understand at that time. And then the why me, which was my question, and the answer, all are chosen, most don't listen. This message is meant for every single person. And each person is chosen. Each person is chosen. Each person has this same inherent, intuitive, guided ability within them. It's like their own guidance system. And that system is the one that knows. And this is where I get into what my beliefs were about illness, what my beliefs were about, you know, how the world worked. And what I realized is that a belief is also a construct, and a belief is the matrix.
Yes. Thank you for
So
saying that.
yeah. And so what we're dealing with then is knowing as opposed to believing. So how do you know? Knowing is internal. Knowing is, well, I know that's not right for me. Right there, that's knowing. That's different than believing. Well, I believe what they said. I believe that that's probably how it's going to come out. Okay. That's a construct. That's your choice, but you don't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the differences. And this is what makes the difference between being able to like make a quantum leap and live beyond the matrix, which incidentally is my work that I'm in now. That's
as am I, and I think
yes,
we're doing this together.
yes, we are. And so that's what makes the difference. Don't believe something, know it.
Yeah.
Know it. It brings to mind even, fast forwarding. So I did in fact heal. And I had a complete resolution of all of my liver problems. So incidentally, this was a time span of about 10 years. Okay, so start to finish.
So what happened in the 3 days?
So in the 3 days, in the first place, I had been laying there in bed when I had this experience, when I literally was crying out in so much pain that I could not go on anymore. And that is when it was like a radio station switched in my head, and it became ultimately very quiet. And that is when I heard the voice tell me that I would have that pain gradually receding over the next 3 days. And in fact, I went to sleep that night for the first time in months. The next day, the pain was slightly less. The day after, even less. And on the third day, it was gone. And this was from Friday to Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a Friday to a Sunday, 3-day healing. And at that time, what I was dealing with was pain from pleurisy. And pleurisy is inflammation of the lung lining. And I couldn't breathe. I could not breathe. Could not breathe. And so I completely healed from that. Now, from that point, that is when I moved into the things with my liver, the joint pain, all of the other things that I had been dealing with. And so I must have been about 28, maybe at the time, 29. I don't exactly remember I've got it written down somewhere, but it was somewhere in that age range. But by the time I was, 33, by the end of my 33rd year, the liver enzymes, it all resolved. It all resolved. They were telling me the last time I had a liver biopsy that I was into cirrhosis. I don't have that.
I remember that time period also, and how limited your diet was at the time for things that your liver could handle.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to share with the people that are here with us that there is a certain amount of perseverance and relentlessness that comes with, I see it as moving from that believing into the knowing.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps, the message keeps coming at you until you really
Yes.
do know it.
Yes.
And you never stopped. You never stopped. And I want people to realize now what you said about how it's not necessarily easy. It's not always easy.
Right.
To make this happen, because the constructs are so,
yes,
they're so very much in place.
Yes, they are.
And this brings me back around to something that I wanted that I want clarification on, because I feel like it's related. When you say, when you heard that all are chosen, most don't listen, what does it mean to be chosen? And what could happen here if those who are chosen actually listen? If more of us actually listen. And even if you feel like you haven't been chosen, like, no, nothing remarkable has happened in my life, I haven't been chosen for anything. If you choose to be chosen, then what happens? How could that change our reality?
Sovereignty, power, joy, love, happiness, moving through life in it's like in a synchronicity, and you're still here, right? You're still here in this human form. However, what it does mean is that, in the first place, know that you are chosen. Know that you are chosen. Every single person is chosen. Listening means that you receive, okay? It's the ability to receive. You receive guidance. You receive the knowledge that you need to move forward in ways in your life that create tremendous opportunity, tremendous experience, ability to connect with others in ways that you didn't think were possible. And the ability to create tremendous healing in your own life and affect those around you. You know, we only get one go round.
In this particular dimension.
In this particular, yeah, as we are like this. In my form as Rebecca, your form as Amanda, you know, we get one go round, and the magic continues. So I resist. I'm the biggest resistor in the world. It's like, no, I'm not doing that.
I might be the biggest resistor in the world.
You might, yeah, no, maybe you got, yeah, no, I think, yeah, you might have it on top of me.
I have some resistance to you having that title.
You have some resistance to me. Yeah. Okay. So I'll let you have it. Okay. So I'm number 2 in the world on resistance. That's number 1. But seriously though, we resist that which we don't understand. We think, right? We think that we have to have an understanding and this proof that it's going to pan out, or proof that it's going to be, right? So what happens if you trust? What happens if you're willing to receive what comes to you and then trust and go with it? The thing is that, and this is where the most don't listen. Okay. So it's not a criticism of anybody. It's not a criticism, because hello, I've done it too.
Yeah.
So when we receive information, the first thing that most of us do is we take it up here and we start thinking, well, I wonder if that would work. Well, I would need to do this, and I would need to buy 4 ducks, and I would need to, get a pond, and then I would need to, have all of this in order to facilitate this happening. Imagine, those of you that follow Amanda know her story. Imagine if Amanda had put her vision of the farm and put everything in front of it. She knew that it was right. She trusted the information that she got, right? She trusted. And she was willing to receive, and she did receive. And there's a picture of it in her backdrop there. She's on the farm.
Yep.
So not listening is simply when we take it up here and rather than acting on it, we wait for proof. And I call that leading from the back. When we lead from the front, we lead with the vision. We lead with the vision of who we are and what we know is possible for ourselves based on the information that is inside of ourselves about what we get to do. Now, free will is the aspect of we can choose to follow that or not follow that. And it's not, we don't assign good or bad to that. We don't assign good or bad. Okay. That's free will, right? You can do it. You cannot do it. However, I'm going to give you an example of what's happening in my life right now. So I have resisted using my voice. I have resisted for years using my voice. I've had thyroid problems. I developed over the last few years a nodule, which they did biopsy, no cancer, but they've been keeping an eye on it. And it's been bothering me. And my thyroid labs have gotten particularly out of whack, enough so that I could tell and I wasn't feeling well. And after our dad passed away in August, I felt the draw to do a summit. And I did go ahead and I held that summit and I used my voice. And I began speaking out even more in January, February, March. I've done a couple other interviews. I've held some master classes, moving into a workshop, which by the time this airs, that will be complete. And speaking my truth publicly to those that I'm around. My labs, they're normalizing all this weird stuff that's been going on in my thyroid. Thyroid is related to not using our voice, not speaking our truth. Mm-hmm. That's what it gets spoken to. So, and that's happened fast, a month from one lab to the next. Checked him in one month. He said, oh, okay, so 6 weeks basically. So I had the labs done 6 weeks later. Yeah, 6 weeks. That's how fast this stuff can shift when you get into flow and you move into what you're called to do. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be called to do the same thing I'm doing, the same thing Amanda. We're all called. Each of us is unique, different. We have different callings. And there was something out my window. I was looking at that. It's just been, I have birds.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Sorry, I was looking at the birds out my window and my cat was like watching the birds. She's over here like, but this is what is remarkable and what is amazing. The other things fall in line. Mm-hmm. The other things fall in line. And other breakthroughs happen. So there is the Zen saying of, and I've used this before, it's just always on my mind. It's like, I move my finger, I move the world. Yeah. The world at the end of my fingertip. Well, this is a truth. Yes. This is an absolute truth. When you shift here, when you shift right here, everything else shifts as well. Yes. This is how we create ascension in humanity. Yes. This is why I came. And this is why I am here. Yeah. And for Earth Nation out there that we are sharing this with, what I would really love for you to take in from that statement
is that when you decide to allow yourself to be chosen and then you participate, it makes it easier for everybody. It shifts the energy. You know, this is why I am doing this summit. I really want all of you inspired to discover how you get to be and be sovereign, like Rebecca was saying, where sovereign means the easy part of it is feeling free. The challenging part of it is being 100% responsible. So it always comes with responsibility. So one of the things that I was hearing was how action that you took on a physical level shifted your metaphysical. So it can work both ways, obviously.
Yeah.
And with that personal story, I mean, if you're finished with your share around that, I want to make sure you're finished. But so if you're not, please finish. And then I would love to hear how you have helped somebody else. If there's a story that you can share where somebody else got to receive from your gifts to change their own story, where they got to move into a healthy balance.
Yeah, you know, that, so first of all, I want to address, you know, my supporting or my helping, because none of what I do is actually me. In other words, I don't do it. And I think all of us on this call will understand that and know that it is not me. That being said, I have the ability to hold the space for this knowledge to come through in a more rapid way, and to be able to deliver messages that perhaps someone cannot hear at a point in time where they're at. For example, one person that I worked with had not been able to conceive. And we began working together. And through the course of our work together, really what we were discovering was that she was a doormat. This person, however, is a powerhouse. She is a multi-six-figure coach from the stage. Okay, that's who she is. Powerful. She's an amazing leader and is hugely of service in the community. And yet she was dealing with these problems with conception, and this aspect of doormat was coming out in the work environment. And it, you know, through discovering that she was holding on to so many parts of her business, where she really needed to find people that were better able to support her, and then be able to receive that support. So this level of receivership was really creating this block, if you will. And when we think of conception is an ability to receive. Okay. Yeah. And so we began working through that, which was not what she was expecting. And this is something else that's very characteristic of nearly every single person that I work with, is that the problem isn't the problem. It's something else.
The problem isn't the problem.
Yeah, the problem is the problem. And so as we began to uncover all of these different things, and there was a tremendous amount of release from the mother. For her, there was a huge mother wound that we were able to heal. And after we did about 6 months of work around that, and she has a 1.5-year-old daughter.
Lovely.
Yeah, she
That's
does.
amazing.
Yeah. Now, our goal wasn't be able to conceive. Our goal wasn't we're going to have, for her to be able to have a child. However, it was the result. She presented with this issue. We did this work. She was willing to do the work in these other areas. We didn't know that this was going to be the outcome. We didn't know. And yet it's exactly what happened because it was in receivership. Another person that I worked with really came to me with different problems related to money, different problems related to, what was happening in her world with relationship. Just, and by the way, everything is relationship. It's a relationship and connection.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest issue really for her was the money situation and not being able to get off the ground. And what I saw was the garden. And I said, you need to go to the garden. And this was the information that was conveyed. 99% of what I do with people, it's channeled. Okay, so it's it's not me sitting there analyzing. It's channeled information that comes through. And she was like, go to the garden. And she says, well, I have this garden that I work at sometimes, but I haven't been going. And I said, well, that's what popped into your head. Follow that. I said, that's your guidance. And this is what we're talking about. Okay. So this is the inner guidance. This had already been on her mind.
Mm-hmm.
But she had not taken action on it. She didn't trust it because she was too busy up here trying to determine, well, why should I go? Validating, looking for, some reason for it to be right. We don't need to know. That's what we get to give up. Okay. So that's right. What we get to give up is this, we got to know. We got to know before we can do it. When you take a walk, do you absolutely need to know where that foot's going, or do you put your foot down? When you run up the stairs, do you know that that stair is going to be there? You have an implied understanding that it's going to be there, but you trust. You just run up the stairs. When a child comes flying through the air into your arms, they trust that you're going to catch them.
Yep.
It is that simplistic. It is simple. Our world is simple. Let me go back to the garden before I go any further. So this gal, so I get back with her at our next meeting. She's like, Rebecca, I went to the garden there. And she said, the owner, she said, it owns all of this, offered me a job. And we're not talking a small job. This is like a 6-figure job. This is like a big job. This is exactly the type of thing that she was, leaning into, looking to create in her world. And this is why I'm saying that we weren't brought here to suffer. We were not brought here to suffer. There are things that happen here that we don't understand. That is a way of this life here. And yet, if we are willing to look at it and accept it and feel what comes up through it and allow ourselves to experience, there are huge gifts inside of it. Whatever it is, if it's something that's painful to you, we're going to have pain. It is a way we're going to experience these things. And yet it is not pain in the way that you think it is. And I know that probably for those that are listening, that probably sounds really vague and not very descriptive, but it's very difficult for me to put words on because we're speaking what we are really talking about here is communicating in a master language, which is the master language of frequency. Words are a way to explain our world. That's one language.
Yeah.
Okay. Frequency, though, is a master language. Trees, grass, animals. We can go out and feel with our heart and connect. But we're connecting on a frequency that the earth, Mother Earth.
And it is in that connection where and you did say it already, everything is relationship. It's in that connection where we get to find peace. It's the first place to go to when you want to create ease and grace in your life. And that's the first step in shifting how you feel about things, is creating the ease and grace, which, you know, that's one of the things that I talk about. That's the first step in the earth codes. That's what she has to offer us, is to be like her. And then we get to achieve ease and grace.
Yeah.
And oh, there was something that you were talking about that that I wanted to expand on, and then we moved down another little road, and I lost that thread. I hope it comes back, because there was something in it that I wanted to share. For clarifications for everybody. Oh, yes. So it's around, again, perception of, you know, in what you were talking about, where you said, I don't know if I can find words. So that's one of the things that I seem to excel at. It's all in perception around what feels good or doesn't feel good to us.
Yeah, that's right.
And the more deeply we just relax into acceptance, the easier it feels, and the less painful it is, as we just accept existence as it is. Then we receive calmness inside. And what that actually does is it shifts the belief system that's here, the matrix belief system that life is hard.
Right.
It shifts it to life is ease and grace. Life is peaceful. Life is connection. Life is connected to that which brings us ease and grace. So I feel like this conversation has explained a lot of things about the quantum field that I really wanted to bring out for people to understand, so they could grasp what it means to be chosen, and then to listen, and then to act on it. And what it means for everybody, and what it means for this construct. Yeah. And if those of us who are chosen listen, if all of us, since we're all chosen, listen and act on it, oh wow, think about how this place could feel. I mean, I can feel it inside me right now. And I don't know if you're finished talking about the people that have benefited from your service. So what I would like right now is, if you have something more that you want to add to that, please do. And then whatever we haven't discussed that you have a burning desire to share, I would love to hear. I'd love to hear it.
I would love to just to really be in service for those that are listening right now, rather
Okay.
than go back and talk about, those that I have worked with. I want to be really in service for those that are listening here right now. And I think the best way for me to do that is to really elaborate on what you just said
Perfect.
of we're chosen. Each person is chosen. We get to listen if we choose. And that world experience that we want to have, when we create it here, it happens here. So I really want to emphasize that. When we create it here, it happens here. So, have you ever gotten up on the wrong side of the bed?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You go out and nothing goes right. First of all, the cat's thrown up, and that's the first thing you step in the morning. Then you go to the kitchen and there's ants. And then, you got to go get in your car and you're on your way, and it's completely backed up to get onto the freeway. And when you finally get on the freeway, it's backed up and you're late. You're late for your appointment. And then the doctor's running about 45 minutes to an hour late, or whoever it happens to be. I'm speaking from personal experience here.
Right. A lot of doctor's appointments.
I've had a lot. So, and it just seems to be one thing after another. Now, is that the world or is that here? Where does that originate? Where does that originate? Now, it's a point where when we begin experiencing, the run-in with things that are really, really difficult, the first thing to look at is, okay, what's my own state of being? What am I feeling inside? And what's very remarkable about this is when you acknowledge it, it softens. There's a softening of the emotion, and there's a softening of that feeling inside of your body. When I work, the work that I've done with horses,
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced that in the work that I've done with horses. Animals are a great reflector of that. And you can visually see in the horse what you're processing in yourself. I had an experience like this in working, I was brushing the horse, working with horse energy, and I began to get this anxiety inside of me about, gosh, I wonder if he likes this. I know that sounds crazy, but it's like, I wonder if he likes this. What else can I do? What else could how else could I be, working with him that would be different? And I noticed my horse had grabbed hold of the bar, and he began pulling, and he was straining all through the neck. And I was experiencing, and the person who was facilitating this work, I was in a workshop at the time, and she came over and she goes, "So what's going on?" And I said, "Well, this is what I'm feeling." She goes, and I said, "I'm feeling like I don't know what to say to him, that I need to do more, or that there's something different because I'm not sure, and I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing." And she says, "And where are you feeling it?" I said, "I'm feeling it in my chest and my neck." And we look at my horse, and that's exactly what he's doing. This is an example of what we're carrying being reflected in the physical world. I wanted to see that for myself. That's actually why I did that work. And I was still in this phase of like, I got to see the proof of that. It says, but at the same time, it was beyond that. It was, how do I explain this to somebody else? How do I explain this and gain an embodiment of this experience? So when you take that emotion and literally process it within yourself, it softens it, it exposes it, and poof, it goes away. The resistance is gone. When we're resisting the emotion and we're resisting the things that are in front of us, that actually propagates it. It actually propagates those experiences that we're having that are negative. And
Yeah.
am I making sense, Amanda?
Yeah, you are. And I think that a lot of us are familiar with the phrase from the Neil Donald Walsh books, The Conversations with Gods. I mean, he's with gods, all the gods. He says it over and over, what you resist will persist.
Oh yeah, and it's absolutely.
So I think that people are really familiar with that concept, and yet we're always doing it.
Right.
We find it's part of our habitual way of being as a human. It's a learned response to things we don't like.
That's right. It is a learned response. And because it's learned, it can be unlearned and relearned and relearn new ways of approaching. And the other aspect is really the embodiment and the feelings. So when you begin to practice this, and it is through that practice that I have been able to shift my body. Okay. It's actually embracing what's going on. It's like my neck, my throat's hurting, my neck, my thyroid gland literally was hurting. I embraced that and went to the message that was inside of it. And it was all about moving forward, using my voice, moving forward. And how does that get to look? And by following that, it dissolves. It literally dissolves. This is the beauty. This is the beauty. Oh, and look who's there.
Yeah, Persephone came in to let me know that she needs attention. I think that is a lovely place for us to be complete. And what I would like for you to do now is to share with everybody how they can contact you. Where do they go to find Rebecca and Awakening Seraphina?
So really the best place right now is to go to my website, which is www.awakeningseraphina.com. Seraphina is spelled Seraphina, Awakening Seraphina. You can also send me an email, and that is awakeningseraphina@gmail.com. By the time this airs, I'll have some other things in place, but for right now, that is probably the best way.
Excellent. And for those of you like me who are not note takers, don't worry. It's in the body of the email that's going out with this recording. For those of you who like to take notes, you can contact her immediately. So thank you, Rebecca, so much for this conversation. I have really enjoyed it. And I look forward to our next one.
Oh yeah, I could have just we could have gone on. I know we could have gone on another hour or so. But thank you, Amanda. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Greatly.
On that note, thank you, Earth Nation, for listening, and we will see you again.